I was that
I'll order the board meeting for August 8th at the Meyer School District. I'll rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Braden,
Here.
God, here. Gilligan, Alderman, Jones,
Here.
Stovall,
Here.
Waterville,
Here.
Beaverhurst, Martin.
Here.
6 present, 3 absent.
This time I entertain a motion for approval of board meeting minutes from July 25th, 2024. So moved. First by Mr. Koval, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Larno. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report for July of 2024.
On the table to approve the treasury report for July of 2024. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Koval. Any discussion?
One question. First, I just want to start out, thank you for, again, for your email. Probably spelled out a few things that was very helpful. Is there anything that you think is worth commenting on publicly with what you said, or is this more of my information? And then secondly, I've been somewhat remiss. I wanted to thank Mr. Dresch for all the work you guys do. Like, I read your report every month, but this month it just stood out even more to me, like how much you do during the summer. And then your volunteering at the fair, I thought that was amazing. I volunteered there the last couple of years, and it's for different things. And this is a really great experience to be able to meet a lot of community members that way. And so just to have a presence in Palmyra High School or district there is, so.
How many people
Yeah,
recognize that they come?
yeah, that's great. I think that's really great to have that kind of presence. So I appreciate that. I wanted to say that publicly. So, and then just a couple really quick questions. This on the check register, iPad repairs of $2,236. Is that typical for costs for high, low, or?
That would probably be one of the lower ends. That would be an end of the year type of thing. So those would have been iPads that would probably service sometime in May, end of June, processing the bills from there. So that would be lower. Our technicians do a great job of, I know we have a couple on staff that are able to repair those. Due to different leaves of absence and those types of things, we don't always have access to those individuals, so we have to ship those out. So it is somewhat of an up and down depending on how much we can service in-house.
Do we foresee that cost going down, keeping the K through 2 iPads at school? Is there a disproportionate use of like cost typically of repairs for the younger kids who are not as?
I don't believe
Middle school seems to be
Middle school
our,
is
yeah,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough one.
That's
Well,
what
The age.
I kind of thought perhaps,
The
but
age of
I
the
was
students.
hoping hopeful that maybe that.
One of the things I think we did just this last year is we did adjust the costs charged back to the families or the students. And we did increase that, and there seemed to be less breakages this year as compared to 2023.
If I may, I think the cases we chose for these brand new iPads are 100 times better cases. And I think that has prevented breakage as well.
I saw a sinkhole repair costs for Forge. Does that mean we're done with that? I don't know. I haven't kept up with that, so I just wanted to see where we were on. Do you have a lot more money to spend on that, or
It should be,
we should be set for now there?
there's gonna be another cost coming in because they have blacktop it. But the contractor was waiting to do a bigger job so that
They can combine.
it's not a full load, so he didn't want to just buy a partial load and blacktop it. It should be done next week.
Okay, so before school.
Yes.
So in the treasure report, we paid $15,785 to Elko School District. What was that for? We paid that.
Probably for them, it is, they would, we have special ed consortiums, so some districts operate or have, room, in their classrooms to replace
That's what I was
students.
wondering if it was a
That's
student
right, yeah.
placement typically.
Yep.
Okay. And then just a couple quick revenue questions. So the migratory children line item was new. Is there a reason why we?
We received, money for that this year. That's not always a
It's
constant.
not always a
item.
constant.
Yep.
And then, there's new labels on 6992, 9394, elementary incentive, high school incentive, and middle school incentive.
Yeah, so, Mr. Drexler's gone through some of the things, as you can see, prior to that, there were some items that didn't have that
Right.
explanations. So this is an effort to clean that up.
Clean that up, okay. Okay, that's it. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Prince, I just was reading over the report and I just wanted to verify, as of now, it appears that we have about 1.2 million interest on investments. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's, we adjust a little bit. I don't know if we've adjusted for the June interest. Much that we were a placeholder points that we've not seen in the past.
I understand being conservative there, because you never know what is going to happen.
And we made the adjustment this year to our budget revenues based on. Hopefully the rates hold it. But leaving them in the November.
And then my only other question was, are you aware what benefits may be on the trend for? It appears that most of the benefits expenditures appears higher than what was originally budgeted.
It is, I'm in the process now, going through the final closings. Those are one of those things that we are still incurring costs as of June 30th through August 31st. So won't know the exact number. It's not, it's trending higher than not a drastic amount. But had some higher claims, but we do have stop loss insurance that sets up, offset some of those payments to be made to us.
Any other comments, questions?
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. President's report, is there anybody that's like to make a public comment? Adjournments. Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting was held on July 11th, 2024, after the regular board meeting in this boardroom. First item of business was an update on a meeting with RLPS on Buck Swank and district office. Dr. Kepler provided the board with an update on that meeting. Item 2 was an update on district office relocation, which Dr. Kepler provided the board with an update on that. And there was no public comment, and the meeting adjourned at 7:13 p.m. And the next Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting is scheduled for tonight after this board meeting. That said, there is a motion, or I'd like to make a motion on the land use agreement to approve the land use agreement for landing of a military helicopter adjacent to the Buck Swank Stadium on Friday, August 23rd, 2024. This was a last minute addition. I believe that's what we had done last year as well. Motion on the table to approve the landing for military helicopter on August 23rd, 2024. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second by Mrs. Brady.
Yeah, it's okay.
Any comments or questions or discussion?
I didn't have a copy of last year's agreement. Is there anything different this year? Or is there any?
It's a standardized form. The form is just that we are signing that we know the helicopter is landing on our land and it will take all liability if anything should happen. That's also normal. For federal government. Exempt from those type of things.
Right, I just want to make sure there's nothing.
I think that it was received very well last year and it's really cool that we're doing it again. So,
Well-controlled environment.
yeah. Just a great opportunity for the kids to get to see those guys. One of our coaches, I think, was actually flying. And
Coach Riggins, it was the pilot, my wrestling coach.
all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Sure, that concludes buildings.
Mr. Jones, we have the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting that last met on July 11th of 2024. The first item on the agenda was the liability insurance presentation. The board listened to the liability insurance presentation from Jonathan Zinn of Zinn Insurance. There was an update on the bond sale, and Brad Remming of PFM Financial Advisors provided the board with an update on the bond sale. Mr. French shared correspondence from the audit firm of Boyer and Ritter LLC on our 23-24 audit engagement letter. Price transportation was on the agenda, but no discussion was necessary due to the approval of the contract at a preceding regular board meeting. There was one public comment from Mr. Klee, and the meeting adjourned at 7:45 p.m. The next meeting of the Finance Committee is scheduled for this evening, Thursday, August 8th, after the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting in the District Office Boardroom and via Zoom. And out of that meeting, we have one motion. Oh, no, I apologize, not out of that meeting. We also have a finance item added after the July 11th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. So I would like to make a motion to approve the addendum number 2 of the end user agreement dated July 1st, 2020 with the Keystone School K-12 Management Incorporated.
Motion on the table to approve addendum number 2 for the Keystone K-12 Management agreement that was dated July 1st, 2020. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rockwell. Discussion.
I'll just share. We figured this would not be an issue to bring this forward as you're voting on a 10% discount that we were able to get with Keystone K-12 Management. Keystone is a provider of many of our courses where we contract out for our Cougar Academy, where we don't offer our own curriculum in that area. So they won't process any of our enrollments until we sign an agreement. Save 10%. We wanted to get it on the agenda tonight.
So, and does anything else change with that agreement?
No, simply the discount is the add-on to their existing agreement.
Why are they offering this?
So right now we have
That's great.
right now they have a progressive discount where you get so much for the first 50 students, so much. And from talking to the representative, they're just trying to make it easier for their accounting. And they're willing to give that bigger discount in order for everybody to agree to do it. Some larger districts that are putting thousands of students in their program, they might not be saving much money. We would actually be saving money because we would need to get to a much higher number of students for us to make a greater discount on the current agreement, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So you got a full plate here.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, Staffing and Administration Committee met on July 11th. We had the second reading of the board policies. Do you want me to read all that or just simply? Okay. Anyway, board policies 006 to 351. And then we have the first reading of board policy 01 to 909. We had discussion with the K2 technology update. We had some questions or comments dealing with the video quality of our board meetings and how in fact we put them out. And we had the announcement of executive session. Concluded at 8:46. So we have a motion to approve the second reading of the following board policies, and again, as listed.
A motion on the table to approve the second reading of board policies is listed on the screen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Koval.
No changes.
Any discussion from the board?
I have a question about 103. Was the Title IX changes that came into effect last week? How does that intersect with this particular?
ESBA has provided recommended changes. We are working through that very slowly and awaiting the federal courts, et cetera, as to where that's going. So on the advice of our counsel.
I checked last week, we were not on the list.
Correct.
And we were joined from enforcing these new changes, but I anticipate that to change. I had a parent send me that they were a member and they weren't upset that they weren't on that. So I guess that is a rolling document from one of the members.
That's my understanding as well.
So then, just understanding then how, if we start making changes, how that would affect this.
Sure.
I mean, I understand that Pennsylvania law and case law has already expanded some of these protections that mirror Title IX, the Title IX changes, but the rules changed the burden of proof, they changed grievance procedure, they changed who the complainant can be.
Correct.
They changed a lot more than what Pennsylvania law does. So as a board, we would need to discuss what our approach would be and what we would want to do as far as
You're absolutely correct.
decisions. I just wanted us to have a little dialogue about where you think we should be going and how we want to get there and how we, it's kind of a mess, honestly.
Yes.
So how do we navigate that?
I think policy will drive that. We'll clearly be working with Stock and Leader. We're not going to just take what PSBA recommends in this case. We want our own counsel to be involved in that, and we'll use policy to drive what direction the district goes. So therefore, the board would have clear say in what we do with policy.
So in the interim, what do we do for, because they went into effect last Thursday.
Correct.
So then what do we do in the interim?
We are looking at some preliminary training for district administration and our Title IX coordinator. So we are better
And
understanding.
that's
That is a net. I've been through an overview training with Stock and Leader. Dr. Spagello is not. She was not available when they did their first overview. So we're early in that phase that we'll get trained administratively at the district level and make decisions from there. And again, we'll be working through the board's policies largely going to drive how we implement any of those changes. If we have any findings in the interim, we'll be working with solicitor and how to process given current regs and newly proposed regs and where we fit into those.
Yeah, I'm just reading through some of those changes and what that could mean, could compel speech to force people to use pronouns if they're not comfortable with, and it's just a lot of things that could play out that I don't know as a board, you would need to be all on the same page, at least the majority of us would.
Sure. I agree,
All right, that was my only question with this.
but we're slow playing out with intent.
There are two motions for approval on the first reading of the policies as listed on the screen. No further discussion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. And then we have a motion to approve the first reading of the following board policies. 201 to 909 is shown.
Motion on the table to approve the first reading of the policies listed on the screen. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Brady. Discussion.
No revisions or changes since you reviewed in committee?
I had a question about, policy 218, student discipline. Just looking at this current version versus what we have now, and the changes, a lot of it was bolded, except for one paragraph said, the board shall approve the inclusion of restorative practices in the code of student conduct to address violations where applicable. That seemed to be new. Am I understanding that correctly?
Which page?
218, the very first page. So yeah, scroll just a little bit right there, under 6, 7, 8, 9. That phrase was not in our current version and it wasn't bolded. So I didn't catch it the first time. But this time I did, so it was new.
I'm pulling up our current policy here as we speak.
I printed out our current version to compare them, and it's not there, at least in what I think today.
What it appears is PSBA has a section in their proposed policy that is a choice, where when they provide us with proposed policies, they put a bracket at the beginning of items that are optional. This was something that we selected to include in this policy.
Okay, so I am not in favor of including that in this policy. I know that's trendy in education right now, some sort of practices, but a lot of that I'm not in favor of. To be more consequences for behavior. I mean, the police don't have restorative circles and, so to include that in our policy, I am not in favor of that.
Now, I would want to do more education of the board at large as to what restorative practices fully is, with 80% of it being proactive and setting the stage for school as a community. We would agree with you. We don't use restorative practices in lieu of discipline. We use it in tandem. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to using it in tandem. I'll be very opposed to having the victim and the perpetrator having to meet face to face or any kind of thing like that. I know that can be some of the restorative practices. I've been told that we don't do that.
We do that.
You do.
If both parties agree.
If they both agree.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a voluntary.
Correct. If either victim or respondent indicate they don't have that desire, then we do not push that issue.
The reason that we would have to include it in the board policy, in the language in there, have we not used it in practice, like you said?
We do use it in practice, yes.
So why the inclusion of it in board policy, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's why it's not in bold as a change is Sue processes it. It's a change from our current, but it's not a change in what PSBA has recommended. We just selected it in this revision to include as optional text. So it would not have to be in board policy, but including it there, the board is making a statement under their policy that approving the inclusion of restorative practices.
And it references 9, policy 146.1. What is that? When I look at our current policies, it wasn't a 146.1. Unless I just wasn't reading that correctly.
Have to refer as we don't currently have a 146.1.
We don't, so
That's probably why it's not paper.
I would have to check the PSBA policies to see what 146.1 is.
can we pull this one out then, and while you research that, and then educate us on why we should have this?
If I could, I'll just say my piece, since we are having, a discussion on the matter, I'm very experienced with both. And, not necessarily in Palmyra School District, but every instance that I've ever been engaged with, the restorative has always been in conjunction with any other sort of discipline. It's never been in lieu of, and it seems that that's what our district is aiming to do. And I think another big separation to make is, and I know you had mentioned that the school police a little bit earlier, and this does not influence the criminal investigation of a serious offense in any way. Neither the IEPs. They're two separate, school discipline and then any charges that the school police officer may bring would be two totally separate.
That wasn't my
Okay, I must have misunderstood that, but just to clarify for everybody, they're two very different things, and I've done both. And I think the inclusion personally of restorative practices is a hugely important part of the discipline process. But I agree that it shouldn't be in lieu of.
Yeah, that was my point, is that if we aren't teaching our kids consequences, if there's consequences to behavior, then, when they get out of the school system and they have behavior, they're going to have consequences. The police don't use restorative circles and have you approach your, they don't use any of that kind of stuff.
Right, and they
So
don't
we need
do
to
it
be
school
training
either.
them, and teaching them that. And so that was my concern, is that I don't want us resorting to these circles and these happy talk about our feelings and no consequences. And then they're just sent right back to class, or they're done, whatever there's no consequence to behavior, and it's disruptive to the rest of the students who are trying to learn.
Well, I totally understand, I
That's
totally
my
agree.
point. Like,
Yeah.
I just have a problem with using that.
I just don't think it was intended to be in lieu of, because I've never experienced an instance where they were not used in conjunction with each other. And that's kind of, in my, and then again, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience with it, that restorative practice is kind of like the other side of the equation. And I personally don't feel as though it should be, left out. I think it's best served when you use both. So I don't want to eliminate it, but I certainly, understand the concern of one or the other. And I would like to think of it as and all the time.
Well, we can't have a reference to a policy in here that we don't have. So that
And that is, I think,
would
on
at least need to come out in order to approve, I would think, to approve this.
policy 146.1 is a trauma-informed approaches policy. It is a PSBA recommended
Which
policy.
we don't.
We've not adopted, correct?
We've not adopted it, so that reference would at least have to come out
Correct.
to make that change. And I don't,
Is
you
there,
guys are only two speaking about it, so I don't know how anybody else sees.
is there a motion on the table then to withdraw this from? Because right now we have two motions to approve or disapprove. So if you want to make a motion to remove this specific policy, I'm just going to remind everybody, it is only a first reading. This does not mean that changes cannot be made as we go through. It is only a first reading. So right now I have two motions on the table to approve or disapprove. I need a motion on the table to remove it, and then we can vote that and go there. So
I was thinking we only had one motion on the table to approve. We had a motion to.
we have, the only reason we're in discussion is because we have two motions to approve or disapprove.
The second.
Motion is second.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in order to change anything right now, I need a
We have to
motion
amend that.
to amend. Yes.
To your point, it's a first reading. Do we need a?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. You're the one, just one second, I mean, and I'm just trying to do the streamline, whatever. If you want to remove it right now and take it back, I'm fine with that, but I'm just telling you right now, I have to act on the motion that's on the table. Motion on the table is approve or disapprove. So I'm asking, is there a motion to amend this.
Can you show me where that incorrect reference is?
Citation number 9, 146.1
Okay, my laptop's not functioning. I
Is-
only see what's up there.
is referenced.
So then in your
Here,
footnotes,
statement.
it has 9, which references policy 146.1, which we do not have.
So we really should amend this
We should.
just
You
because
can do it one of two ways.
Again,
We
Frankly,
don't have to
just
have
one
a
second.
formal motion.
Again, remember, guys, this is only a first reading. We can still amend. That's why I'm asking. I'm just trying to streamline this whole thing. If we're gonna amend it in the second reading, I would suggest we amend it in the second reading. So that's why I'm asking. Do I have a motion so that I can move the meeting forward?
We approve as is what you're suggesting, and then it's brought back with
In the
amendments.
second reading, yes. So that's why I'm
And
asking.
that's fine, I don't
Okay.
need to make another motion.
So seeing that there are no other motions on the table, and discussion seems to be done. if
We
I'm-
have the direction to pull that.
Well, again, you bring it, you can send it to whatever.
We heard that from, I think the board wants that citation, yes.
Okay, seeing no other discussion or anything, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Takes us to a motion to approve the following substitute teachers for 2024-2025 school year.
Motion on the table to approve the substitute teachers for 2024, 2025 as listed on the screen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lotiger. Any discussion or clarification?
This is a holdover from the last meeting, correct?
Correct.
Same list of names, there's no changes here. And just for clarification, this is substitute teachers, not emergency substitute teachers.
These are aides or paraprofessionals who currently work for us who qualify under the various provisions of state law to act as substitute teachers when no other substitutes are available.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries.
So what's the ramification? It goes to the next meeting,
Goes to the next meeting.
or we don't get substitutes?
Very much.
Okay. Okay, we have approval of the consent agenda, so a motion to approve the staffing and administration committee items as noted on the staffing and administrative consent agenda.
A motion on the table to approve the staffing administration consent agenda as listed on the screen. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Fraser.
Before you tonight, 3 professional resignations. Thank Katrina, Aaron, and Jen for their years of service to our district. Wish them well. Some support staff items for you. Additional regular substitute teachers, returning subs. Volunteer coaches for the fall. Those are individuals who have submitted all their paperwork. We do have others that are outstanding. They will not be board approved until they have all their paperwork into us.
How many, is that quite a few, or
No, handful.
just one?
Just one now.
Oh.
And then the approval, we have for you, a family lives outside the district seeking to have their half-day, they want their child to go to half-day kindergarten, not full day, where a neighboring district requires full day. They only want half-day and are willing to pay tuition to come here.
Is that a first?
In my experience, yes. So that's an estimated, just under $6,000 for a half-day kindergarten student to attend here.
Are they responsible for transportation?
Yes.
I'd like to comment very quickly, if I can, under professional staff resignations. There's 2 individuals that I've dealt with on a regular basis with my kids, Mrs. Marinkoff with the Cougar Academy, particularly immediately following COVID. and she was absolutely delightful to work with, very responsive, always got emails and phone calls back almost immediately. She's gonna be a great loss.
Sure.
She really was terrific to deal with. And Mrs. Smith, I don't know what to say about that. Just treated my kids like gold. Can't say anything. I mean, absolutely wonderful. So, another loss in the district.
Yes, and if I may echo Mr. Vogel, I'm sad to see the nurse from Sweet Center can't go. Had a lot of interaction with her over the years, and she did a wonderful job caring for our students at the high school.
Do we have any, candidates to replace these positions that are, I'm sure you're on about, but it's,
Positions posted and we're in the active interview process right now.
look like we have some good responses.
Within 2 weeks, hopefully we'll be able to have some board action for you.
Right? Yeah. Thank you. As always, we're fun.
Well, if you see Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Morin, please let them know that I wanted to recognize them both. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, please,
Thank you, Mr. Guy. Not being, oh, there was. At this time, I entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved. First by Mr. Koval, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brady, all those in favor say aye. Aye.